Okay, in lesson 9, we're going to be talking about names and what to name your stuff. Okay. Anyway, the let's see where I am. All right. The first thing we want to know about names, you want to make sure each thing has a unique name. It's much easier to find everything if they have different names. Very important, you want things to have meaningful names. Okay, by meaningful, for example, the programmers of Alice here named the frog Frog. If they had named it Kangaroo, it would be confusing. If they had, as some of my students do, just hammered the keyboard and hit 8 or 9 keys and named it Blickable, that also would have been confusing. Notice the methods. The move method is called move. Oh, interesting. What if they had called it, die? That wouldn't have been very useful, would it? So you want to have meaningful names. And when you save your world, give it a meaningful name. Okay, the next thing is let's look at some of the ways that programmers name their things. Alice has made it real friendly by putting spaces in here. So Alice is legal to put spaces in. Some programming languages that you can't. So if you're thinking about going into programming and you want to use their naming conventions, there's 2 naming conventions I want to show you: camel case and Pascal case. In camel, let's say we were going to name my first method properly in camel case. What should do? Let's go to the notepad, and it would start out small letters, lowercase, and then the next word would be capitalized, and then any word after that would also be capitalized. That might not be the best font, but I think you can see that the F and the W are capitalized. Let's try another font. We can just try like a normal Arial, see if that looks any better. But let's say you were trying to put in, let's see, how about red squirrel? All right, again, lower, and then the squirrel is going to be capitalized. When we call that camel case, you can kind of see the S or the F and the W here kind of look. It doesn't really look like it, but you can kind of imagine it to be like a hump in the middle of the camel. That's why they call it camel case. So any objects or methods, if you want to get into this habit, it's good to use this camel case. Okay, now as far as classes go, we mentioned classes in an earlier video. The classes are these things right here. Let's say I was going to go in and add another object. And here's you can see the class thing right here. Class flamingo, class frog, class goldfish. These things are capitalized. So they use something called Pascal case. If you're going to, again, you don't have to follow these conventions. I'm just this is kind of like some bonus information. And if you had an ice skater, you would use capital ICE SKETER. So you'd just capitalize all the words, and there'd be no spaces. Okay, so that's Pascal case. Isn't that nice? Okay. So basically, in your naming conventions, you want to avoid spaces. You want to give objects and methods camel case and meaningful names. Don't only use letters and numbers. It doesn't like weird characters, the special characters, the pound key or the @ symbol or exclamation point. Don't use those things. Use the Pascal case for for class names if you're doing that. And let me show you how to, if we want to rename an object on here. You can see frog. Let's say we wanted to call it. We want to keep it meaningful. Maybe we want to call it green frog or something. We could right-click on it, go down to rename, and something would happen. Oh, yeah, it turned colors. So now I can go in here and say green frog. Isn't that nice? So, the other thing you could also do is, let's say you wanted to rename your world. Right now it's named my first method. Let's say you want to rename it animation or something. You could click on the world, and then from there you could right click and rename it. And you could name it animation. Very nice. Okay, so again, don't get freaked out by these. If you want to put spaces in there, I don't care. It's still going to work. So I'm just doing this for any future programmers in the class. Okay. Thank you very much.